How's it going, guys? Man, oh man, it is good to be back. We should go down the list of who all is here. What is up, guys? I am Brian. I am the host of this here podcast. If you haven't joined us before, welcome. We're excited to have you. Who else do I have with me? Introduce yourself, good people.
My name is Ian. I am entirely boring. I handle logistics for this show. And, honestly, the only reason I'm here is because I told Brian either you let me on or there's no show at all.
Ultimatums, all right.
Who else we got?
I'm that other guy that's on this show and only this show. Hi.
His name is Forrest.
Good.
And now, good Bo, do introduce yourself.
You already said my name, good Brian. Anyways, what's up, guys? My name's Bo. Some of you might know me as Winter and Ilya for Kirby Productions, and I'm also the director of the VR Shorts department. The new director of that.
Director-in-chief, director in I don't know where I was going with that.
Name only.
Head bitch in charge. Yeah, I suppose I should also let people know what I do for the project. I do more than just this here podcast. I am the head of the audio department. So if you guys have ever heard anything from VR Shorts or from Ruby Abridged or any of that stuff, especially the last episode of Ruby Abridged, I am in charge of making sure that everything sounds good for the channel. I am also I have been known to write here and there. I've written some stuff for the VR Shorts, and I also voice Neptune for the Abridged.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So we welcome everybody. We talking Ruby Volume 7. Finally.
It's been a
Almost
while.
finally.
It's been a hot minute.
Almost finally next week.
Next week. But this is the pre-show.
Yeah, this is the pre-show where we go over and we talk about just basically what we're gonna go over a little bit about what we liked, what we didn't like from Volume 6, predictions, what we're hoping to see from Volume 7. We're gonna deep dive. We're gonna talk about the trailer. We're gonna talk about Jason
Blake's
Liebrecht.
hair.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about Jean's hair. That's what we're gonna talk.
Oh god. Can we talk about Weiss's hair?
We're gonna talk a lot about hair, okay?
We can
Hair
talk about
will be
Weiss
central
all day.
topic.
She is best girl, fight me.
Yeah. Also, just to answer, we have a question here that from I Love Montiome. When is Ruby Abridged Volume 2, Episode 2 coming out? When it's done. Moving on.
Yikes.
So, let me put that in PR speak. Soon, TM.
So I guess it's pretty safe to say that if you aren't caught up with Ruby Volume 6...
Get caught up.
Spoiler.
Yeah,
warning.
get caught up. Get good.
If you are not caught up, why on earth are you here?
Yeah.
There
also,
will
we
be
have
spoilers.
we have a lot more people watching for this episode than we normally do for most of the rest of our Ruby talks, which makes sense because we're talking about Ruby. So before we hop into talking about Ruby Volume 7, I want to just go over, for anyone who is new to this podcast, I want to go over a couple things just so you know what this is about, because this is actually the first time that Ruby Talk has been on the Ruby channel as an official Ruby show.
Yep.
It's true.
Yeah, the show started as a bunch of friends getting together on Fridays and then I think Saturday nights just to talk about a show and to keep in touch, and we got found and we got brought in.
Yeah, we decided one night that we would start streaming our conversations, and so that happened. We started doing that way back in Volume 3, and for the longest time we did it on Ian's Twitch. But then when I joined Ruby, we got into negotiations, and we basically got acquired by Ruby.
Yeah.
So now we do this podcast here. But if you want to see all of your favorite Kruby people, your Tinas, your James, your Nicoles, your Stars, your Katies. I don't know why I forgot Katie there for a second. If you like all your Kruby people, we are going to have all of those kinds of people and more as guests moving forward this season of Ruby Talk. And so you're going to hear the voice actresses from Ruby Abridged and the voice actors and everybody and the writers talk about their thoughts on the new season. So if that all sounds good to you, be sure to stick around because we're in this bitch. We're going to follow the volume the entire time.
Hell yes. I'm excited.
I'm also very excited. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it and talk about Ruby Volume 7. Although, except we're not, let's talk about where Ruby Volume 6 left off.
Okay, yeah, why don't we start there?
Yeah, so, where we last left off in Ruby Volume 6, they just defeated the Leviathan with Ruby's laser eyes.
Swimmy Jimmy.
Swimmy Jimmy.
Maybe we should... People don't even know... People don't even know about this yet. They don't know we've been calling monsters these weird names for 3 years.
Swimmy Jimmy got nuked.
Swimmy Jimmy is the alligator monster Leviathan thing.
Yeah.
That's its name. It's official. It's not official, but...
it's official for us.
It's official, unofficial.
Learn the terminology.
Yes, and for anyone else who also the Naklavi, that is Scary Larry.
That's Scary Larry. That was the first one.
Yes, that was the first one. We Swimmy Jimmy got, and they and Cordovan was like, you know what, y'all kids are actually okay, even though I was a total bitch.
Not as big of a dick as you could have been. Award goes.
No, that one goes to Adam.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know about that one.
I think he was the runner-up only because he was the only other guy who was not as big a dick
Adam
as he could have been available.
You definitely were as big of a dick as you could have been.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's a good thing we aren't going to be... Yeah. Like, he real dead. Big dead.
Big dead.
It's funny because I was actually rewatching some of my reactions and I rewatched Adam's death, and my knee-jerk response to seeing it for the first time was, oh, he dead as fuck!
They made it real clear. Adam is not coming back.
There's a very solid crunch.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then, but yeah, so Adam got, the Leviathan got, and Argus was saved, and then they flew off in their Atlas chariot, across not the English Channel, to Atlas. And then when they got to Atlas, they had the entire Atlas fleet waiting for them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As one does.
That is where Ruby Volume 6 left off, in case y'all forgot. So let's talk a little bit now about now that we've had some time to process it all, to hear all the conversations surrounding it. What were you guys' thoughts on Volume 6?
I loved Volume 6. It's definitely my favorite volume, to be completely honest. Like, it really kind of reminded me of why I love the show.
Mm-hmm. That is fair. Ian, Forrest?
I will say that Volume 6 was a return to form from Volume 5. We are not discussing Volume 5 in depth on this podcast for a number of reasons.
We'll just leave it at that.
I will say that my favorite season is still Volume 3.
Volume 3.
It is still Volume 3 after all of these years, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. But after the sad passing of Monty Ohm, may he rest in peace, there had to be changes, and I really wasn't on board for a lot of them. Not so much to the point where I didn't enjoy the show, but Volume 6 is showing like they can draw me back in again. They have my attention. I want to see them keep it this season.
That is That is fair. I think all of us were a little worried coming off of Volume 5. Or many of us were worried coming off of Volume 5, and I remember going into Volume 6 kind of cautiously optimistic, and leaving Volume 6 feeling much more optimistic. And I want to say, like, because, like, you know, we had the trailers and the shorts, and like and all of us were kind of like we'll see how it goes. Like I'm trying to keep my hype down because I don't want to be disappointed. But then, like, when Volume 6 Chapter 1 dropped, we were like, all right, no, fuck it, hype 10 million %.
Hype train is leaving the station. Choo choo.
Just like the train to Argus fucking left the tracks.
Yep. It was like, woo woo, motherfucker.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed Volume 6. I agree with you, Ian. I think it was very much a return to form from what we've seen. And I think, you know, I know that a lot of people cite Volume 3 as their favorite, and I totally understand why. But from a technical storytelling perspective, I really feel like Volume 6 is the best the show has ever been. They just did so many things right. However, I do know that not everybody felt that way. I know that we had a number of people who were really upset with the way that Volume 6 ended. And I totally understand that. A lot of people did not like the fact that or did not like how Adam was killed. A lot of people did not like the Cordovan fight, and a lot of people felt like Ruby taking down the Leviathan was very Deus Ex Machina.
I mean, her power literally is Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah,
like, they kind of wrote themselves into a corner on that one. Like,
well, you know, my standpoint on it, because like I loved the Cordovan fight. Like that was a really cool fight. That was the actual like battle fight that they had. And I consider the Leviathan fight a plot fight, and I know that it's not a huge like. It's not a favorite amongst people, because when it's like, oh, they're hyping it up to be a big boss battle, and then it's not. It's what happened. I understand the disappointment in it, but I still think overall, like the final boss fights were Adam and Cordovan. The Leviathan was just there to kind of reestablish that Ruby had her silver eyes, and that as powerful as she is, she's not all powerful. With this, you know, it kind of reinforced what Maria said of you can't rely on them. Like you need to fall back on your weapons knowledge and on your semblance, not on your silver eyes, because they're not going to be able to save you all the time.
Yeah,
it was more like a story moment than necessarily like a, you know, this is your cool action fight scene. We had that with the giant killer robot, and then Swimmy Jimmy, but more of a plot piece, I think.
Yeah, although I think I definitely I sympathize with the people who took issue with those things, because like if we take a hard look at Cordovan, right, as a character, the only reason story-wise that Cordovan was there was to provide an obstacle for the characters to overcome in getting to Atlas. And there wasn't, and them being stuck in Argus and having to go through all these hoops to get out of Argus and get to Atlas, it didn't really bear a whole lot of weight on the overall plot of the show in moving things forward. It didn't bear a whole lot of weight in moving the characters forward. It more gave an excuse for the characters to sit in Argus for a little while and stew on certain things.
I mean, there was some stewing to do. We got some good, you know, some good plot, character development and stuff. And who doesn't like snowy San Francisco?
Well,
I mean, that was
my favorite thing that happened out of that stewing was that we finally moved past this thing with Jean.
Yes, I agree. I was actually one of those people who was just kind of disappointed with how the plot went, and I'm not going to say that it was bad. I'm just my opinion, along with many others, was just it was not the best writing to have it end that way, because Cordovan became then in that moment the only reason she intervened was to keep people from entering Argus, as is her duty, although she took it to a great extreme to do so. And
Mhm.
the Leviathan just added tension that just did not necessarily need to be there if all it was going to be was not so epic of a fight in the
Yeah,
end.
I think I think part of it is like, you have a big monster like the Leviathan, like Swimmy Jimmy, and you have and when you wind up with something like that, like there was no real reason that it had to be Swimmy Jimmy to, a monster that big with the stakes that high, to have Ruby test out her laser eyes. So,
Yeah.
and like I now I wouldn't go so far as to say that I think that it's bad writing. I would definitely say it's convenient writing. I get that they were trying to juggle a lot of things. I actually think that where they have where they probably wrote themselves into the biggest corner with Volume 6 was Adam. Because I listened to a lot of people go back and forth on their thoughts about how they decided to kill off Adam, and ultimately I heard some. Now, first of all, let me say, anytime a character dies in any show, but it seems especially for Ruby, one of the main arguments that I hear from fans, like 10 times out of 10, always, is that the character was killed off before they had their like ability to shine, before they were fully like, oh, there was so much, basically the argument being, oh, there was so much more they could have done with that character, why did they choose to kill them off? I just want to point this out to everybody. That is the case for basically every single character ever written. There's always something more you can do with a character. That doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
In this
Go ahead.
case, specifically with Adam, I had the expectation that was being built for me with Adam, and for a couple of other people who I know agree with me, who are not, necessarily right or necessarily wrong, because these are opinions, had hoped that Adam would have stuck around longer, that he wouldn't just be chasing Blake for a season and then be dead, because he wasn't at his most, or at least in my opinion, his most dangerous yet. He wasn't. He hadn't been chasing her for all that long. He hadn't built up she's ousted me, she's ruined me, she took everything I ever had. He's had maybe a month or two to spew on that. He hasn't had like a couple of seasons to stew on that.
He's had 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's like, that is 2 weeks for him to have just simple hatred. It wasn't complex. We didn't get to see how much more dangerous and reckless, or just outright cruel, he was willing to become to get at Blake in that time. It was just, we've ousted you, and we're, like at the end of Volume 5, I believe, that the Faunus brought help, if I recall, and it's like, and Adam got ousted. That's, so a few weeks between then and when he fought Blake. I would have preferred months, or perhaps, depending on the show, years, for him to stew on that, for him to nurture into something ugly that would have utterly revolted us to see, and to have been actually threatening. But he just seems to...
I mean, you weren't
through it.
revolted by him?
I was revolted by him.
He was kind of...
I have something to add on.
Hang on one second, guys. There's a comment here that I want to address. So I Love Montiome says, the biggest problem I had with Adam was why was Weiss never in this conflict? I mean, Adam was branded by the SDC. So
that was what I wanted
that's
to
a fair
address.
point too.
So the reason why, and I think seeing that Adam was branded by the SDC, because obviously we saw that in at the end of Volume 6. I personally think that the reason why Weiss was not part of that conflict with Adam is because that was world building and I think we're going to Atlas and we're going to talk more about it later, but I think we're going to be dealing with a lot of Weiss in this next volume, and I know that one of the biggest problems that people have had with the show overall is we're constantly told about the discrimination that the Faunus face, but we're never really shown very many examples of the Faunus actually facing discrimination. I have a very strong feeling Volume 7 is going to change that.
I wanted to add on to that comment specifically. That was what I wanted to address as well, is that I think that the reason why Weiss wasn't involved in that fight and why I personally think she shouldn't have been involved in that fight is Weiss is more than her name, and she is not the Schnee-Dust Company. Mm-hmm. Like, Weiss is not responsible for the actions of her father. And yeah, she's going to have to live with the repercussions of the stuff that her father has done and that the company has done under the mantle of the Schnee's name. But Weiss is not the Schnee-Dust Company.
Right.
And I think that it's important that she not be involved in that fight. And I'm glad that she wasn't, because I think that it would have just been... I honestly don't see her necessarily feeling remorse for him, not in the sense of like feeling like not pitying him, but like she would have only been there as a means of like them trying to like guilt trip her for whatever reason, or like make her feel bad for something. But Weiss isn't the kind of person that would feel bad for something that she had no hand in whatsoever, I feel like. And so I don't necessarily think that
I would have to disagree with that a little bit. I do think that she does feel a little responsible for the Schnee-Dust Company.
I think she feels responsible, yes, but does she feel bad about it? Like, there's nothing she could have done about it.
I think that she probably feels bad for the people that have been harmed, but I don't think that she feels like it's her fault. But
she doesn't feel personally responsible.
I don't think she feels like it's her fault, but I think she feels that it's her responsibility to fix it.
Yeah.
So,
well,
go ahead.
Yeah, she makes the comment about like her. Sorry. She makes the comment about like when she's yelling at her dad a lot in the last season, where like she has a very big problem with the way he's run this company, the way run their family into the ground, and I think she can feel bad and she can feel responsible without feeling personally responsible because she didn't do it. She's trying to, like, in a certain sense, she almost feels like she's on the same side, right? Because she's also been hurt by the Schnee-Dust Company. Not in the same way and not to the same degree, but it's a similar kind of feeling, I think, to her.
Yeah.
So I will close up on my thoughts on Adam.
Okay.
I wanted to see him mature more in his hatred before he died. I want him to be absolutely insane before Blake finally ended him with Yang. But I didn't get to see that, and that just felt like so much... like, I know how you say there's always wasted potential in a character, but this felt like a great loss.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to... I may be in the minority opinion here, but I'm gonna have to disagree. I don't really... I think Adam played his... And I think he was sort of out of, like, okay, maybe you can further develop characters and, you can start a new arc. You can always do something new with a character. I think he was kind of at the end. Like, I don't think there was really any more for him to do. He had, if, briefly, if maybe not as visual, we didn't see him, like, tearing his hair out or something, like signs of going kind of off the deep end a lot. But he really had become this avatar of revenge. Like, that was the only thing he existed for in that point, right? So I think he'd sort of reached that nadir of character, like, motivation. And so there was nothing left for him but to either... just to die. That was it. So I was okay with that, honestly. It was a good fight. It was I don't think Weiss should have been there. I think it was a Blake and Yang fight.
Yeah, so...
And they they did it justice, I thought.
So my thoughts on Adam, right? I understand why people would be upset, because like I remember when people, like when Pyrrha died, there were petitions to bring Pyrrha back to life, and it was just this whole thing. And everybody was just like, oh, like they could have done so much more with Pyrrha. And it's like, yeah, you can always do more with a character. But even back in Volume 3, Forrest, you pointed it out, where you were like, the problem with Pyrrha was that she was basically already a fully realized character. She was already the strongest. She already was respected. And in Volume 2, she had already gotten her development through Jean by basically being like, oh yeah, like everybody puts me up on a pedestal and nobody sees me for me. And then Jean was like, I see you for you. And she was like, I know, that's why I want to jump you.
Mostly because he was an idiot, but
yeah. So when like really the only thing left for her there was like she either needed to start a new arc, or she needed to, or the only thing really left for her was to end up with Jean. And they opted at that
we knew
time,
that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, so they opted at that time to kill her off for the sake of the plot. And so when it's like, yeah, they could have started a new arc, but they had finished an arc. So it's, it's okay. But oh my god. Sorry, this comment. Oh, she wanted to start an arc, all right. Jesus Christ. Tom Luton, I see you. I see you. Yeah, so now as far as Adam is concerned, though, Adam is a bit more mysterious because Adam was one of the first characters we saw. He was in the Blake trailer. He was in the Black trailer. And he was also among the first characters that we ever heard speak. And so I think everybody ran wild with their fan theories about what kind of character he was going to be. And at the end of the day, he played he played a lot of significant importance in the plot, but I will admit that he never really moved beyond a plot-based character to a character-based character, if that makes sense. And so I think what people were really upset with was the fact that he died still being just a plot-based character.
Just a foil for Blake to play off of,
yeah.
basically. Yeah,
I can see that. And I understand that. I understand that because, because at that point people had been waiting for people waited for 2 volumes for Adam to show up at all. And then he was there only for a brief period of time. And then, yeah, it's just, I kind of see where people were coming from, where they're like, yeah, they never really did a whole lot with him. So I think people just wanted to see more from Adam, but I also feel that Adam served his purpose. Now, I think where they wrote themselves into a bit of a corner was by interweaving both Yang and Blake's story with Adam. And because I know that this was something that a lot of people took issue with. I know that a lot of people in Volume 4 and Volume 5 were very upset that we never really got to fully explore Yang's PTSD.
Yeah, I mean, it comes up here and there. She'll have a little tremor, she'll have a little shake. We see it in small amounts, but then it's never really brought up like a main plot point, right?
Yeah.
Outside of that very small arc, like right after the beginning of Volume 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so like I think people really wanted to pay off to Yang's PTSD, and the problem was that they put both Yang and Blake into a situation where they were facing Adam down together. And Blake had already reached the point in her arc with Adam that her next encounter with Adam, she had to beat him. And actually, to a certain extent, so did Yang. Yang had to bounce back and beat Adam. Yeah. The problem was that because we had never really gotten a full-blown payoff to her PTSD, the moment to do the PTSD payoff would have been the moment where Yang came face to face with Adam. Like, she's seeing visions of him. Like, obviously he fucked her up really, really hard, but, which, I mean, like, obviously, like, she lost her arm, but the issue was the story dictated that Yang had to overcome Adam in that moment. And from a story perspective, actually, I think that they handled that really brilliantly, in the fact that, like, not only has Yang changed her fighting style, but, like, in the way that she goes about fighting Adam, it's very clear Adam is still doing the same old tricks. He's still locked into the same pattern, but so basically Yang has grown and Adam has not. And that's
how they
and they did a really, really beautiful job showing that. The problem is that in order to do that and pay that off the way it needed to, they had to completely throw the PTSD thing to the wayside. So they just had a little moment where her arm was shaking, and then Blake stepped in and helped her. So they kind of had like I said, they kind of wrote themselves into a corner there where it's like you can only pay off one of the two.
Not
so you have to pick, you know. But either way, aside from that, I still really enjoyed that fight. There was an incredible animation.
I think they did a thing. You were talking, like, just a second ago about how, you know, Yang had learned something different, Adam had not. I think they mirrored a lot of animations from, like, I guess they didn't really have a fight, but they did something where, like, she does the same, like, attack she's gonna do, like, the exact same animation.
She launched exactly the same way that she did, but then she
changes it midair.
Changes direction,
to psych him out. Like, that was, and he was like, you're gonna do it again, and then she got him. Like, that was so good.
Yeah, so I still really, really enjoyed that fight. And ultimately, when it came to Blake and Yang killing Adam, I know that I talked about it in the Ruby talk that we did, but a lot of people were very, very upset at how they went about killing Adam with the two of them. They were like, oh, it's just so overkill. I'm sorry, guys, I have to completely disagree, because the symbolism of that moment was so incredibly brilliant. Because at that point, Gamble Shroud, Blake's weapon, had been broken, right? Now, what has Adam done to Blake and Yang? He broke them. So this symbolism of taking something that is broken and picking up the broken pieces and coming back and using those broken pieces to finish the job and get revenge and end things for good was just, oh my god.
No, the symbolism and how they killed him, that was quite beautiful. That I will not deny.
Yeah, that was well played.
Yeah.
Now,
well played, Rooster Teeth, well played.
If we still have more to talk about, we spent like a long time on Adam, but in terms of other characters that have disappeared from the show, there's one that I want to talk about. I don't know if it's time yet, but you know what the heck? Do you think we're gonna see Penny again?
I think Penny is dead. I think we're gonna see Nickel.
Advocate.
Before we hang on. Before we launch into that conversation, because I think that that's a perfect segue to start talking about Volume 7. So I first want to just say, overall, I really enjoyed Volume 6. I think that, there were a few missteps there at the end, but first of all, endings are hard. And second of all, like I said, overall, the writing for Volume 6 was just, I think, the most solid it's ever been in the show. And so it gave me a massive amount of optimism moving into Volume 7. So, without further ado, let's talk about Volume 7.
So I wanna ask real fast, because I personally have been informed of what was covered in the first 12 minutes shown at New York City Comic Con. I'm sure there's at least one or two people in here. I know that if Gamble is in here, because they said they were going to be in here, they were at the panel for NYCC where they've already seen the first 12 minutes of the first episode.
Mhm.
Because like, do we want to cover that or no? Because
Please,
yeah,
I would
there are
love not
answers.
to. I would
Yeah,
love not to. I don't
I
want to be
think-
spoiled.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I think let's wait until the episode comes out. It's literally
Okay.
only a week away.
Yeah, I wanted to, because there are answers to these questions that we are asking right now.
Oh, well, there's only one possible answer. Okay, all right.
Well, no, there are answers to a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about wanting to see already in Volume 7.
All right,
Like,
Rocket Dog confirmed Volume 7. Great, thanks.
dog.
Rocket Dog
I want to see
2.0.
Winter. That's all I want.
Winter
I
can
want
to see
come
Winter
right
last
after
season.
Rocket Dog. Rocket Dog needs to return.
Winter.
Yeah.
Everything
Winter.
else
Come
is
back.
secondary.
So,
my God.
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to Volume 7. So let's talk a little bit about the news. So we know that Volume 7 is coming out on November 2nd, which is
Mhm.
this coming Saturday.
1 week.
Day
Yep.
after my birthday. Best birthday gift ever.
Hey.
So we've seen a bunch of new things. Obviously, we're in Atlas, and so I'm sure we'll talk about that at length. But so let's talk about some new outfits, because we got some new outfits. We got some new
Yes.
designs.
I love me
Yes.
some new
Um,
outfits.
So
Hair.
Blake's
hair. Blake's
so
hair
now, do we
is
want to
adorable.
go down the list, or do we just want to talk about the elephant in the room?
Weiss's
Let's
hair.
just go down the list. Let's go down the list.
All right. So Ruby has a new design. What do y'all think of her new design?
Meh.
I love her new design. She looks like an anime pro tag.
I-
Got spiky hair and everything.
I adore Ruby's new design. I can't help but notice that all of them were like, they spent a good long time at the belt shop.
Oh yeah.
Lots of belts. All
I mean, we all know what's gonna happen next. What comes after belts? Pouches. It happened in comics.
Extras. That's true. Weiss has like 3 belts on in the same place. Like
Look.
usually you put belts on in different places. Nah.
I'm
she
sorry.
just has 3
Is
belts.
that a problem?
She's
Yes, it is.
No.
she's taking inspiration from like 1980s Michael Jackson.
Just put all the belts on.
Yeah. Have
Every,
you
where
seen
there
like
is a
have you
belt.
seen pictures of like some of his outfits from like the Bad Tour era? My God. It's
Are they
like
just made of belts?
It's basically just made of belts.
Let me say, Ruby's outfit really hasn't changed much. It
hasn't
really
changed
hasn't.
a whole lot.
I can't even see the changes from Volume 6. Like, that's it. It's
I mean,
practically the
I think
same
her
outfit.
hair's a little longer.
Her well,
but
no, she's
her
she's
outfit
got.
is.
So now I will point out that they talked about this at the panel for NYCC. There have been changes to Ruby's not just like her outfit, but her actual overall size. I believe the way that they put it was that Ruby is thicker.
Okay, I think that was the politest way
Okay.
they could have put it.
And yeah, no, so like she's I'm definitely excited. Like it's such a rare thing to have an animated show where we actually get to watch these characters grow up. And I really, really love the fact that we are actively watching these characters get older, and we see that reflected in their character designs.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agreed. That is one thing that I can say wholeheartedly, no complaints. Outfit changes on point.
So, yeah. So as far as Weiss is concerned, my biggest thing about Weiss was Weiss has way more hair than I ever thought she had.
She's
Just
got
growing out
a
her
number
hair,
of
that's what she
extensions
did.
in there, okay?
Blake has a new haircut as well.
Oh, it's adorable.
It's just like her mom's.
So
yeah, it is actually.
somebody
I didn't think about that.
at NYC at the NYCC panel, somebody pointed out that Blake's hair should be referred to as Bobcat.
Oh no!
Oh my god.
No, make it stop.
That's hilarious.
Um,
She's also like her whole outfit has just got like Weiss was like, all right, I'm gonna get more belts than is absolutely necessary, and Blake was like, all right, how about zippers? We're just gonna put zippers everywhere you can put a zipper. Like
she spent
got
all
two
that
zippers.
time trying to get away from Adam, and then
But I'm
put
seeing
zippers
here
everywhere.
on the new outfit that Weiss is already catching on to the pouches trend. Because she's got like
Mhm.
2 pouches attached to those 3 belts.
Well, she's like the mage class, so she's got to keep all of her like dust, crystals in there or something, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And Yang just has straps.
Yeah, she has like they're almost
Yeah.
like overalls, like.
And Ruby has that outside corset thing.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
she's had that since that's like
Yeah.
that's her.
That was
Her
from
traditional
last
uniform
season.
there.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I'm willing to bet we're gonna get a time skip. So that
I
people
love,
can grow out their hair this long.
I
Or
absolutely
short.
I
Blake's
really
case.
love Yang's new outfit. It's not that different, but like she's got some like new pants.
Or one new pant. The other one's kind of
No,
like
it's
she paid
it's
for a
pants.
full pair of pants, but it's just-
Asymmetry is where it's at. Okay.
Those actually are the same pants. It's just that the zipper that's supposed to keep it closed on one side is undone on the other.
Okay. So she's into the zippers too. Look, they got like the zipper crew over here, the belt crew.
Gee, I'm sensing a trend here.
Mm-hmm.
Yup. All right. Let's talk about team. Let's talk about Team Junior.
Team Junior or
no.
Team Juniper? Oh wait,
It's still Team Junior.
it's still
just
Team
with
Junior.
one less R.
Yeah.
So yeah. Who do we want to talk about first? Let's save the best for last. Let's talk about Nora.
She looks like she's out of Kingdom Hearts.
She does,
And that's not a bad thing.
even though I've never played Kingdom Hearts.
Neither have I. Like I am I
just
literally
know.
I know nothing about Kingdom Hearts, and I saw her new design, and I'm just like, that looks like Kingdom Hearts.
If she had like way less polygons, she'd look even more like Kingdom Hearts.
Oh god.
But yeah, and then Ren, still rocking it. I gotta admit, I kind of miss the long drapees in the back.
Yeah, but now he's got it tied into a braid.
It's got like a ponytail, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Like
true.
in that, yeah. Like,
I mean, it's still totally possible to be Ren sexual.
I mean, it's
So-
still possible. Like, did it ever become like a choice not to be? It's like,
But yeah. So, all right. Let's pull the Band-Aid off. Jean.
Jean, buddy.
I got a quick question. Where are we seeing the hideousness that is Jean at this? I'm not. Where are we seeing that? Because I'm not seeing it. Is it
Where-
in the trailer?
No. They released
Ah.
they released the character designs for him. John has a new haircut. All right, I guess I'll be the one to say it. It makes him look like a dude, bro.
Oh God.
Live reaction.
And clip.
no.
Yeah. John.
That's terrifying.
Yikes.
Yeah, so
He looks worse than Cardin did.
Oh
you
no!
know, you're
He
not
literally
wrong.
his new gear looks like Cardin. Like he literally looks like Cardin.
Maybe that'll
Yeah,
be a plot
mace
point.
now.
He's just gonna come back to Beacon and see Cardin, and Cardin's gonna be like, "Why'd you steal my shit?"
And then John's gonna beat the crap out of him because he's obviously superior now.
Because he's matured. Yeah, he has his own little Adam moment where he, like, throws jam at Cardin or something. I don't know.
It looks like
So-
he's going through his frat boy phase. I don't like it.
Oh, God. It does. It so does.
Ugh.
Uh,
Make it
So-
stop. My eyes. Okay. I
It
pulled down.
it really makes me worried too because he has this new look, and then Miles keeps throwing around the phrase "thirsty moms" in conjunction with his quote, his favorite moment with Jean this volume, and all he has to say is "thirsty moms."
What?
That doesn't...
What?
What?
Like,
What?
no, please no.
No. No, God,
Please,
please,
no.
no.
Oh man,
No.
He's been
Miles
saying
and
it since
Carrie, I
RTX.
will love you forever if Mrs. Schnee is a cougar.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
You
It's
know,
not,
I
it's
could
not
see
like
that.
her husband's around to take care of her or nothing.
Yeah, she needs a new man to take care of her. I don't blame her. As long as Crow and Winter can be reunited, I'll be fine.
So, I think that's actually a really good segue into talking about the trailer. So
Yes.
they dropped the trailer for Ruby Volume 7, which was real cool.
Swimmy Jimmy's in it
Yup, Swimmy Jimmy is in it.
for about as long as he's in the actual episode.
You guys are mean.
But yeah, so what'd you guys think of the trailer? Hype? No hype? Cautiously hype?
Like absolutely hyped.
Sabretooth Grim, are you kidding me?
So,
That's cool.
I've been told that apparently they're called sabers and they're spelled with a Y.
Of course
Ooh.
they are.
And then we've also got the new centipede Grim, which are called Sentinels.
Ooh,
Yeah, those look
nice.
terrifying. They weave around each other. Did they make like giant centipede monsters out of like mini centipedes? Is that what's gonna happen?
I hear
that's what's
I
gonna
hear
happen.
sabers and I just think of Fate Stay Night.
Yeah, so do I.
Just a bunch of blonde waifus taking over Atlas.
Man, that's
Yes, that's a new type of Grim.
that it really wouldn't surprise
Is
me.
that
if
really
Atlas
Grim,
held
or
up.
was that
It really
X-Men?
wouldn't surprise me if the Holy Grail War took place in Atlas.
Oh, that would be fun. But those new Grim are fire.
Yeah, no, you know what those Grim reminded me of? It reminded me of the fucking it's just like the mini Fire Nation drills that drill into Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just a Grimified version of that.
All right. So Forrest, how you
Well,
feeling, bud? How you feeling?
I like about the Grim. I'm just gonna something they did really well last season was like make the Grim kind of scary with, again, sort of the anticlimactic exception, Mr. Swimmy Jimmy, but with the what they call the apathy, right?
Oh, the
Yeah.
apathy.
To make
God,
these
I love
Grim
the apathy.
that aren't really offensive, or they don't have big claws or big teeth. They're not like a giant dragon or Scary Larry, who was genuinely pretty scary. Like they made something just passive.
I'm sorry. I just gotta, as far as this Scary Larry stuff is concerned, I just gotta. I've never met him in my life, but I gotta shout out my boy Chris Kokinos, who does the sound for, or is he's the head of the audio department at RT Animation, and was the one who designed the sound for Scary Larry. Because God, that scream is terrifying.
Okay. I do have a big point to make though with the Grim. How many volumes has it been since volume 3? It's been 3 volumes now.
6
3.
minus 3.
Yeah. Does
So I'll go
anybody
back to your
think
arithmetic
we
class.
are
Uh-huh.
well overdue for another big dragon-type Grim to show up anytime soon?
I mean,
Oh,
was
yeah.
that not Swimmy Jimmy?
I mean,
Nah.
I don't think
Swimmy
so.
Jimmy, they've clearly shown that aquatic dragon type Grim just don't hold water. I don't know where I was going.
Oh,
with
no.
that.
We didn't even,
They're just bad.
guys,
They're just
you
bad,
know what we
okay?
didn't even talk about for Volume 6 is the fact that Salem is ready to throw hands herself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like that
that's
she
true.
confirmed now she's the Wicked Witch of the West. She's making some flying fucking monkeys.
Fuck that shit. That
Oh,
gave
yeah.
me that gave me nightmares as a kid. Okay. The fucking flying monkeys.
You know, it's funny because The Wizard of Oz, both the story and the movie, is my all-time favorite, like, story, movie, whatever have you. And I loved the flying monkeys when I was a kid.
No.
I was a flying monkey when I was a baby.
Oh my god.
No.
Well, now we know why Bo is in fact your nemesis, Brian.
Complete opposite reactions to the flying monkeys. Got
Yep.
it.
I was like,
Confirmed.
yes.
But like seriously, that
Sorry.
Swimmy Jimmy
We were
fight
talking about
was not a big epic fight. It was a
Mhm.
Deus Ex Machina. So
I mean,
my
now
thought
to be fair, all of the big Grimm type monsters like Kevin, and Scary Larry, like they've all been Deus Ex Machina, like because freaking they brought out that dragon because
Mhm.
they were like, you know what would look really cool on top of a destroyed beacon tower?
A dragon.
A dragon.
I mean, you're not wrong, but we haven't had a
Right.
fight on that level, on that epic level of scale, or at least in my opinion, so since Volume 3, and I think we're
That's
overdue.
Well, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, is no one technically fought Kevin.
That's
He just
fair.
like fucked up the tower and then just fucked off.
Yeah, so now's the
That's
time
true.
to seal the deal. Give us
We
something
haven't actually-
big.
The only like real like grim boss fights that we've seen was the Geist in the forest from Volume 4, Chapter 1, and
didn't
the
name for
sea
that.
dragon that Blake and Son fought in like Volume 4, Chapter 2. Like
To answer Jamad James' question, who is Kevin? Kevin is the official canon name of the dragon that shows up at the end of Volume 3.
yeah. And the Leviathan's
Yeah.
name is Levi, technically, but we call him Swimmy Jimmy.
I'm so mad. Frick, Barker, where are you, Barker? Go get that changed. Scary Larry.
Scary Larry and Swimmy Jimmy need to get their names right, okay?
I'm sorry, Swimmy Jimmy is way better.
It's pretty good. Yeah. No, I would like to point out, like, I called the dragons, like, before there were dragons. I just want to make that, So I'm excited. Anything involving dragons, I'm excited for. So maybe it wasn't like all that surprising that I would call there being dragons, but I called that.
If we're talking about calling things, I want to point out, I was actually looking for it the other day, going back on topic, kind of away from Grimm, but just something that I want to just state here and now. I have been saying since Volume 3, and I found the actual Tumblr post that I posted it, when we found out that Weiss's sister's name was Winter, I was like, calling it right now, their mom's name is Willow. I have been saying it since like Volume 3, Chapter 3, when Winter first showed up, and if her name is Willow, I'm gonna be like, yo, I can see the fucking future.
What if
I've
it's
been
what if
saying
it's
it
Willa?
You know what?
I mean,
It's
that's
close enough.
Close enough.
What if it's Will
Jinx,
I
you owe
am?
me a soda, Bo.
Oh my god. But that's what I'm most excited about with going into Atlas and Volume 7 is getting to see more of the Schnees and the Schnee Dust Company and kind of seeing how Atlas operates.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see. So this trailer has some pretty interesting imagery that we really haven't seen in a Ruby season before, right? We've got, it looks like riots in the streets. We got armed guards patrolling, and then the Grim attack, of course, because
Why
they're
not?
the Grim.
Mhm.
But But this scene of like rioting and stuff isn't really something we've seen, right? Vale was pretty much like,
They're pretty chill.
they evacuated. Yeah, they're pretty chill people. And then like Mistral, we didn't really see except the fight at the school. So yeah, this is our first, and I think we're gonna get a lot of
Atlas.
world building.
Atlas and Mantle is just like they're just like fuck the patriarchy. They're just like they're throwing trash cans. They're having a good time, man. It's like full on anarchy down there.
Yep. I know. So, I'm definitely excited to get some Weiss development here because Weiss is best girl, as we all know.
Somewhere in the world, Katie is screaming.
But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing where all this goes because, like, for the longest time now, the goal has been get to Atlas.
Mhm.
Well, we're here.
3 seasons now.
And-
Get to Atlas.
And so now it's like they need to tell Jacques what has happened, and so it's like, okay.
Did you tell Jacques? I don't think
Or not-
Jacques
or not
wants to
Jacques,
know.
Ironwood.
Like,
I got those two confused for some
no,
reason.
Jacques can go fuck
Ironwood
himself.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ironwood could freeze to death for all I care.
Yeah, so like they have to go talk to Ironwood, but I don't really know what's going to happen when they talk to Ironwood.
Mhm.
I think
You
they're gonna
know.
get enlisted. Considering
Like
the time skip we've
conscripted?
seen, yeah, they're gonna get conscripted to serve for the military because they are obviously too valuable as military assets to spare. Like you've got experienced, young, talented huntresses and huntsmen. Because I almost forgot that we had Crow recently coming off of like alcoholism and Team Junior also there. So you have experienced combatants, many of whom are young and have more experience than any of the fresh greenskins that they could throw out there
Mhm.
that are fresh out of the
Mhm.
academy. They're like, put them to use. Also, they're supposed to save the world, or at least
Also
the is
that.
with their silver eyes. So, like, the next thing they need is combat experience. Give it to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
so I also want to talk about something that I know we've all been kind of wondering. So in the trailer,
Mhm.
Crow has a new voice actor,
He does.
Jason Liebrecht, and in the trailer is the first time we get to hear him. What did y'all think?
I honestly don't
I-
remember.
I honestly to be completely just my knee jerk reaction, because I was just so hype, and I think I even said because Tina and I both live streamed our reactions
Mhm.
when the panel was being shown and whatnot, is I didn't even necessarily, it was like, oh, it's Crow, and heard him say something and then was just like, man, that was awesome. Wait, holy shit, that was Jason. It was like I didn't even necessarily realize it was just Crow for me.
So I as far as my reaction to it, I don't really feel like we've only heard literally one line from him at this point. So I am at this point I'm looking forward to hearing more of him, because I really don't feel like I can accurately assess his performance as Crow just based off one line.
Agreed.
It's too soon to tell.
Speaking as a voice director.
Yeah. So jury's still out on Jason Liebrecht.
Yeah, but I thought it was pretty good. It was definitely one of the better Crow impressions I've heard. I might be a little biased towards Cole's, but
Yeah, I'm really biased.
no,
Cole
totally
is the
not.
only Crow for me.
but yeah. So I'm sure come the first episode of Volume 7, Chapter 1, we will talk more in depth about him. But for now, my vote is all right. I see you.
So
That's,
on a 1 out of 10, that's an all right. I see ya.
It's a on a 1 out of 10. It's a I'm not prepared to do a 1 out of 10 yet.
Good answer.
I'm really excited to see what he brings to the character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm less concerned about whether he necessarily sounds exactly like Crow. I just really want him to feel like Crow. Like I want like his delivery and like how he like portrays the character. I don't think it necessarily comes down to sounding exactly like him, as I'm looking forward to seeing how he acts like Crow.
Yeah,
So.
and
like
I said, I'm sure we will talk more in depth about that come next week. But yeah, so now, Forrest, I know you had something that you wanted to talk about, perhaps with a particular robot girl.
Yes. Oh, it's gonna happen. It's already happened in my brain. But what are your takes? Penny 2.0. What do we think? Is Penny coming back? And if so, in what form? Is she coming back as just like another version of Penny? There's just like a whole army of them, and her scientist dad just brings one back, or is it a new version?
I believe we did see Scientist Dad in the trailer.
Did we?
In the trailer? I don't think I saw in the trailer.
We didn't see him. We saw. Did we? I don't think
there was a
him
bald head, right?
Well, he's not bald. He's
he is.
Einstein
No, he
hair.
is. He's bald.
He's got he's bald on the top. Yeah.
Can you give me a timestamp?
I do know that there was that one news article that was posted that had the trailer and then had a bunch of images from Volume 7 as like promo images from moments that were kind of in the trailer. And there was one with Maria that she was like looking over a desk, and on the desk picture, like on the desk, there was a computer screen that had a picture of what looked like the same figure that we saw react to Penny's death when Penny died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as far as Penny 2.0 is concerned, I will say that I think the Rooster Teeth team has been really good about definitively confirming character deaths in the past, and they have never definitively confirmed Penny's death.
I wanna say that I remember them saying something along the lines on one of the like recaps or like podcasts that Penny as we know her is gone. And that was
a
like
pretty qualified
it was
answer.
Like, yeah, which is a very vague answer.
Which is
and
what
I'm
I'd
like,
expect.
that doesn't sound like a confirmation.
I think they put too much work into this character for them to be like, oh yeah, she's dead now. It sucks.
I mean, but look at
right.
Pyrrha.
Or in
like,
the
Pyrrha was
storyline
always
behind
scripted
it.
to end.
Now,
Yeah,
now here's the thing, right? We have to remember that Penny
Oh my God,
is the first artificial person that's capable of generating an aura. It's basically, she's a robot with a soul.
Yes.
So I don't think it's far-fetched to say that when she got ripped apart by Pyrrha, that her soul died.
I'm not disputing that. The point I'm making is I think there will be another version of Penny or a new artificial person with a soul.
Being,
Yeah, artificial being with a soul present somewhere. Because they put too much into the concept and what those people could do to simply throw it away after the first 3 seasons.
My thing about Penny is that did they create a soul out of nothing? Like, did they create their own original soul to put into her? Or was she a soul previously transferred? Because Ironwood was the one that specifically said that Atlas had been studying souls and how to capture them and put them in something else.
Jesus,
that is fair enough.
You're right.
Well,
that's fucked. That sounds like something
I have-
Atlas would
So
I
if
have-
it
well,
was
and
a
we
soul that was
see-
created, then why can't they just copy paste?
Right. Well, maybe
If
it's
it
not
was
that
a
simple.
soul that was taken from somewhere or someone, then there's only the one, right? Like,
I have
Well,
the feeling that
we see the apparatus necessary to transfer souls, right? When down in the vault
in theory,
Oh, my
yeah.
goodness.
We
Now,
didn't
I will
actually
say-
see it work.
Now, I will say, just and we might be pulling at straws here, but
Mhm.
Penny did specifically say the first artificial person capable of generating an aura.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So-
that does imply creation.
I would say that
Perhaps.
it seems that more than likely that the soul is created with the body in mind. Because otherwise, why is Penny so robotic in nature, so inexperienced with social interaction that she is so much like a robot in that functionality? That seems
is true.
unlike. Like, I'm not discounting the idea that they might put perhaps an emaciated or dying person into an artificial body that can still generate an aura per se, but it seems that Penny at least was fully artificially made.
Yeah, it's not like they made a robot body for a person and they just put that person's soul in the robot body, because that person would presumably retain a lot of their human characteristics, which Penny, in her very robotic nature, doesn't.
One could argue
have.
that the process of being taken out of one's body and put into another body could cause amnesia of some sort, and they just
Yeah.
don't remember what it's
One
like to be a
one could
person.
argue that the process of your soul being taken from one body and put into another could fuck you up.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree,
Yeah.
but it seems like the way that she was behaving was only in the way like a machine could. If she had truly had amnesia, she would have displayed far more human traits than she did.
I mean, so
Yeah.
here's the thing, though. So Penny, I guess, would it be safe to say that Penny is kind of essentially like a walking, talking AI for all intents and purposes? Like, she does have an AI that has a soul,
Yes.
Mhm.
as far as like personality. Like, she's self-aware and whatnot, so
Mhm.
she fits that description. But so one could argue, referencing like Red versus Blue, is like all of the different AI fragments had different personalities, yes, but they were also based off of heavy suggestion. Like, they were very easily influenced by what the director said. So who's to say that when she woke up from being created, they weren't like, hello, yes, you are a robot. You have been programmed to be like this. And she's just very impressionable.
Or to
Possibly.
reference Sword Art Online, Penny's a Fluxlight.
You're not wrong.
I don't know what that is.
And Brian, I hate you
Uh-huh.
because I was about to make that damn same joke.
No,
Yeah.
all this talk of like soul transfer and stuff has got me thinking that maybe okay, I think I'm gonna I think I buy what Ian's selling, and that Penny is a robot, like she is an artificial construct. Her brain, the thing that is her is mechanical, right? But
Mhm.
it might be that in order to generate a soul, for a robot to generate a soul, one needs, shall we call it, some soul essence of some kind, and where one gets that might indeed come
So-
from another person.
Guys,
So what
I
you're
have-
saying is
I have
Penny is a
something big.
philosopher's stone.
Kind of. I have something big.
Maybe.
though. Who else
What?
do we know has a soul to spare in their body?
Oh, don't fuck me up like that.
I
Wait,
mean-
what?
Don't fuck me up like that.
That-
What if they could, man, what if just to piss off Ironwood, they're like, hey, Ozpin, get the fuck out of that kid. We're gonna fucking put you in a...
hey,
Like-
hey, Ozpin, you want to be a cute anime girl?
Oh! I guarantee it'd make him 100 times more popular.
Oh, no.
You just have to sing and dance.
Oh, no.
But
oh,
that would be an
no.
interesting thought, though. I can't remember Farm Boy's name at the moment. It's escaping me. God,
Oscar.
Oscar. But it's like,
I mean, what if...
what if he doesn't want to disappear? It's like, Osmond, we can try and put you in a new body.
Well, God, like, I just had a thought. I went the complete opposite direction of, what if Oscar gets mortally injured and they're like, we can't afford to lose Ozpin? Like, where is he gonna go? Like, yeah, sure, he'll know how to get here, but he has to convince a whole other person to make their way to Atlas. We need to pull him out.
That's fair enough.
Like,
if something happened to Oscar, right? Like, I feel like freaking Ironwood or worse, Glenda would just be there and be like, "This is a new record for you. You had him for like 6 months."
By the way,
6
Blake,
months.
speaking of
Like-
Glenda Goodwitch,
you had
where on earth is Carmen Sandiego? I mean, Glenda Goodwitch.
I'm really hoping we get some kind of reference or return to Glinda. Like, there was that moment in Volume 6 where it was, or sorry, Volume 5, when Oz is explaining, like, giving the powers to the Bronwens, and then Ruby is just like, have you done this before with, like, Professor Goodwitch? And I was like, Glinda? And then it was just like, that was all. That was it.
Maybe she's back in Atlas. That would be a pretty nice reunion. Have Glinda slap Crow in the face once or twice.
Maybe also Ironwood.
After Ozpin disappeared, she was just like, "Fuck it, I'm hooking up with Ironwood."
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I'm aware of what happened, like, you know, IRL with the voice actress, but like, still, it makes me wonder, like, what's going on with Glinda.
I'm
like,
sorry,
what
what?
Yeah.
Something happened with Glinda's voice actress?
Yeah. She said some things online that got her in
Ooh.
trouble, and she got fired.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
a shame.
So that's
Find
probably
another
one
actor. You just did it with Crow.
Yeah, no, her chemistry with Ironwood is too good to pass up on that. If we're gonna have an Atlas season with lots of Ironwood in it, we need
You know, I
that.
mean, not to tangent too hard, but this next episode of Ruby Abridged, Ironwood shows up, and
Nani?
I'm so excited because we do get to see Ironwood and Glenda interacting in the Abridged.
I'll make popcorn.
Team Coffee is actually in Vacuo, as the book confirms.
Yep.
Are
Team
they?
Coffee
I need to
to
get off my ass and read that.
It's so good. It's so good, Brian. Like, it's actually genuinely good. Like, the characterizations of like, none of Team Coffee was at all what I expected them to be, but I was not disappointed.
I need to read the book.
Really,
Uh,
even
It's called
Coco,
After
even
the Fall.
Yes.
Miss, you know,
And
the
there's
handbag, machine gun.
There's a sequel book coming out called
Before the Dawn.
Before the Dawn. Yes.
Or as I think Aaron said at RTX, Before the Dom. And
Wow.
it turned into a whole other conversation.
So I don't know that we have a definitive answer for this, Mr. Anonymous One, but I'm pretty sure Volume 7 is going to be on the RT site only.
all of Ruby has always been free. You just need to watch it on their website now.
Yeah.
It's still free. You just got to watch it on their website. Like,
I think it's going a couple other places too.
It's probably
but
coming to
not
Crunchyroll
YouTube is not one
afterwards.
of them.
Yeah.
At least I think. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so yeah, I am really looking forward to this volume.
can we talk about Winter?
Yes, let's talk about one.
All right. Since
You
you
guys
were
talk
so
about
nice.
Penny. I want to talk about Winter.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Oh God, I just really want, like, you know, and everyone keeps saying, like, no, I don't think it'll happen. No, I don't think it'll happen. What I want to see, especially now that we have the companion guide that confirms that Weiss is essentially the only thing that Winter loves. Honestly, like, she's like, everything she does really is to protect Weiss and make sure that Weiss is set up. Like, she's more of a mother, and this is also canon too. She's more of a mother to Weiss than their own mother is.
Which is a shame.
And which is a huge shame. But I want to see Weiss and Winter, when they finally get reunited, I want to see them actually just have a moment where Winter just goes up and hugs Weiss and has this moment of weakness and softness, because, like, look at it this way. you know, Winter was off in Mistral doing her thing, doing her whatever, her spy operative shit that she was doing. And she got called back to Atlas. At the time, Weiss was in Atlas and was under, you know, close watch by her father and everything. And so Winter comes back to find that Weiss is no longer there and the world is in chaos. So, like, I honestly think that Winter would have probably been really worried about her. But she probably, you know, she's a very loyal soldier as well. And so she wouldn't have gone off. She probably wouldn't have been able to go off in search of her. And so I want to see this moment where they get reunited and she just kind of has this, like, breath of relief of, like, she's okay. Like, she's here, she's okay. And then just, like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah.
Just, like, I just want this, like, really soft moment for them. Because we've seen it, even in the show. We've seen that they have the capacity to be very kind and loving to each other. So
Yeah.
After Winter whacks her on the head and calls her a boob.
yeah,
Now-
it's like, you boob.
Now, I will say that I am very much I really, really hope something I really want to see. I just want to see Whitley get punched in the face
Yes.
really hard.
So
That'll be satisfying.
God. So I'm about to get real right now. So
Buckle up,
I
everybody.
definitely, yeah, buckle up, everybody, because I had this conversation in Rooster Teeth spoilers the other day, actually, because a lot of people were like, I want to see Whitley get fucking killed. I want to see him get the shit beat out of him. And I'm like, you know, yes, he has been an absolute shithead, but the problem is that he is a product of emotional manipulation and emotional abuse without realizing that he's a victim. And I think that once he's free from his father's control, I think, and given the chance to think for himself, I think that he might actually turn out to be a completely different character.
Now, I
And
agree
I want to
with
see
you.
something like that.
I
Now,
agree with you.
I-
But that usually involves somebody getting punched in the face during the process. And
Couldn't
I
get
will
it
say
yet.
that that will be
Or
an
like, I mean,
important
it
process
worked
for
in
me.
Fire Force.
Fair enough.
Punch
I
the
mean,
villain out of them?
Like, Jacques absolutely deserves to be punched in the face. Like, I think we can all agree on that.
I just
Mhm.
Yeah.
think, look, I just think that little shit has it coming. I don't want him to get killed or anything. I just think he needs a wake up call. I want to see him get punched in the face. And then, cause like, look, right? Like, not to get too real here, but like, I think we can all agree Nazism in any form is bad.
Yes.
It is.
Nazis
it's very
are bad,
Nazis
yes.
are bad, right? And and a while back we had that whole go punch a Nazi thing happening. Now the sad thing is a lot of the people who hold those kinds of beliefs, as you were kind of talking about, Bo, they are they've been heavily manipulated into their thinking. And it's not even that they're stupid people. It's just, they're victims.
Mhm.
That being said, I don't want to condone violence against anybody,
Especially children,
especially children.
since he's like 15.
But
Yeah.
but Nazis aren't good, and I don't think at this moment Whitley is good either. That's all I'll say.
You know, I think it's going to come down to, you know, he talks a big talk of, you know, I think semblances are barbaric and blah blah blah. What if he gets put in a life or death situation and his semblance awakens? Like, he's right about the age, you know, that he could
Mhm.
potentially have his semblance awoken in a moment of stress. And, you know, just like, it's funny too, because obviously he hasn't killed any Grimm or anything like that. But what if it's like in a moment of stress, he freaks out, he panics, and we don't necessarily see anything happen. But then, like, after everything's settled and whatnot, he's like, holy shit, that was really scary. And then this little summoned mouse walks up to him or something like that, like something small, because like even Weiss like started out summoning, like she summoned just the little sword at one point.
Mhm.
And like either Weiss or Winter or someone witnesses it, and it's just like, bruh, you just summoned, like that was your semblance. And he kind of just has this moment of like, holy shit, I can do it too. I think that might change his outlook too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Turns out having magical powers is generally good.
It's pretty useful. Hashtag why is being able to turn into a bird a bad thing?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that seems like a good thing. Shut up, Raven.
They turned him into birds.
I'm a bird, Ruby.
We don't know Ironwood's semblance. And something that I actually just figured out from the companion guide, because I've been super adamantly arguing that Ilya's semblance was her ability to change, because it's like that it just made sense, because it's like it's actually doing something, because chameleons don't actually change as dramatically as she does, like in real life and whatnot. And all of the other like her faunus traits were her like freckles, like her scales, essentially, like a chameleon. And so I've been arguing that Ilya's semblance was her camouflage, but apparently in the companion guide it's listed as a special ability, and it's the only one that's like that. Everyone else has their semblances explicitly stated and labeled as their semblance, but her camouflage is listed as a special ability.
She's a chameleon.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, the reason I bring that up is because in the Volume 6 commentary, they confirmed that Ilya's coming back. And I think what better time for Ilya to come back than for them to go back to the city where she went to school. Because lest you forget, Ilya went to school in Atlas.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So she might be familiar with the, inner workings of how kind of like Mantle operates.
Maybe they need an inside look on that, and Weiss doesn't necessarily have it because she didn't go to school there. It's probably been a little while.
So
taking one useless lesbian and making two.
Wow, harsh.
Wow.
So actually, on that topic,
Useless lesbians?
yes, on the topic of useless lesbians,
That's a really weird tangent.
at the risk of starting a shipping war.
Uh-oh.
So,
Snowbird.
at the end of Volume 6, we got some real strong Bumblebee vibes.
Yeah.
So, it's seeming more and more likely that Bumblebee is going to become canon. So, my question is, what do you guys think about that?
What rose is better?
Want it to be
Fight
done...
me.
I just want it to be done right and respectful of the community. I don't want it to just be like done for them to check off the box on their thing of like, well, we have 4 main girls and 2 of them are queer. Like, I don't want it to just be like that. Like I've even said, Bumblebee is not my OTP for Blake or Yang, but if it happens and it feels natural and feels right, then I'm happy with the representation.
Yep.
Yeah, so my thought process is much the same. I think just so long I have no issues with Bumblebee potentially becoming canon. The only thing that concerns me is I really want to make sure that if it becomes canon, it becomes canon because that's what makes the most sense for the characters.
Yeah,
I
would
agree.
with that.
And I don't think that I think that they're building to that, but I don't think that they're there yet.
No, and I don't want to see them try and rush it either. Like, there's been other shows, I won't name names, but there's been other shows where just, they go that direction, and it's just kind of like, oh, you just did that. Did you do that just for points? Like, that doesn't. I didn't see the setup or the build up to that, and doesn't really make sense character wise for me, anyways. And so I think just talking a little bit about some of the Blake, for example, right? Her we literally just saw the end of the season, the end of last season, right? She kind of murders her crazy ex-boyfriend.
Yup.
That's a thing that happens. So
murders her crazy ex-boyfriend with her soon-to-be new crazy girlfriend.
Yes, you
Yeah, but
can't write this.
crazy
This
in
is
a
like
good
reality
way.
TV. You can't write it. It's too good.
Yeah,
But,
that is one of my biggest concerns. I really, really hope that I don't think that they will, but I would be so upset if we came in to Volume 7 and then they were all of a sudden just together. Because I 100% do not buy, hey, we just murdered a guy, wanna fuck? Like,
I mean,
What?
yeah, I don't think
like
so.
no.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Adam was a very big. Fucking keep coming back to Adam. Fuck that guy. But don't fuck that guy. But Adam was a really big like wedge in whatever relationship they have, whether it's a friend relationship or an actual romantic relationship.
Mhm.
Because of the fact that it was kind of like, and he had hurt both of them. He had tried to kill both of them multiple times, and the fact of the matter is that he was this ghost looming over Blake's past. And I think that now that she is free from him, they're both able to kind of finally start moving on, and I'd like to see them move on together. I do want to see it like grow. Like I agree. I don't want it to just, hit the ground running, them just automatically just already be a couple. I want to see it kind of flourish. For people that are like, oh, I want it to start as a friendship and then build into it, it's like, fam, we're already at the friendship stage. Like, in case you haven't been watching the last 6 volumes, like, they're already in the friendship stage. So it's, it's 7 volumes into what was originally stated that they had at least, 12 volumes written. We are more than halfway through. I think that it's about time that canon relationships start happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Monty had said that he wanted the characters to grow into them, and that he wanted the relationships to feel natural, which I completely agree. But I think that, again, it just comes down to, I want it done right. I don't want it to just be shoehorned in for the sake of. I honestly don't think that they would do it necessarily to appease the fans. They honestly don't strike me as the kind of people that would do it just to appease the fans. I just don't want them to do it in the sense of like doing representation just for the sake of representation.
Yeah, and that's what worries me sometimes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's just like you throw in the token gay characters, and then it's like, hey, we have them, cool, all right,
So,
check box.
Now let me
Real fast, MC Darwin, they literally, Carrie went on the podcast the day after the episode came out and was like, Adam is dead as fuck. He is not alive at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, but not sorry. Anyway.
Yeah.
And Jamad James, to answer your question, where is the trauma from killing a faunus? I don't think that's the question. I think where's the trauma from just killing somebody in general?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters that they're a faunus. I think also it happened literally at the very end of the volume, and then they had to go fight Swimmy Jimmy. So I would hope that that's something that Yang and Blake would continue to talk about moving into Volume 7. I would hope that they wouldn't just be like, so we killed a guy, cool, moving on. I hope that they talk about the fact that that was a thing that happened that wasn't great.
Gamble, Ruby having a good number of LGBT characters, 1 lesbian bad guy, and then 2 lesbian side characters that we're probably never going to see again is not a good number of LGBT characters.
The classic gay character loves the one person but can't really admit it, and so is evil because it's kind of a trope, it's
Honestly, my thought is, I personally, if they go for that route, good for them. I just don't see it Black Sun is really what I subscribe to, and I understand that there are other opinions. It just doesn't feel quite right. They would have to sell it to me. They haven't quite sold it to me yet that that's where they want to go, and I think that maybe this is just my straight guy thing poking through right now, but it seems like Black Sun is the pair that I would root for.
Hang on, straight guy thing poking through. Phrasing, Ian.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but you get what I
wasn't
mean.
gonna
Like
say
Coco.
anything.
That
Coco's
just-
LGBT.
It just seems to me that Sun Wukong put in the work, and I think they would make a great pair.
Well, I think honestly, I agree with you, Ian. I think Rooster Teeth put in the work there. I think they've built that relationship, and I really hope that little scene we get at the beginning of season 7, when Blake and Sun part ways,
I
and
mean season
they're
6.
just was that season? Oh right, because we haven't had season 7 yet. You know, the season that was last time. When they part ways, like it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's been cool hanging out with you. Crossed half an ocean, you know, to go meet your
So-
parents and all of the and they're just like, bye. Like I need more closure than that. I need more.
Now,
you know,
to be fair, right? He when they're leaving, Neptune calls him on it. He's like, "What are you doing, my dude?" and Sun is like, "It's never about that." Which
yeah,
to
that right there.
which I feel like Neptune's reaction to that was just like, okay, it was basically the same of like the rest of the fans. It's just like, okay,
It was like
whatever,
you're just letting
dude.
her go.
Like,
And see, I really liked what they did with Sun for that, because they could have very much been like, yeah, but you know, she's got her team, and he was like, it was never about that. Like in the sense of like he feels very confident in, if she's gonna choose me, then she will when it's right, and if she's not gonna choose me, then I'm still her friend. Like, and I felt like that was a really good, like, it's kind of like whatever she chooses, I support. That was the vibe that I got from it. My biggest thing that I have against Black Sun is there's really not a whole lot of representation of a non-sexual, non-romantic friendship between a man and a woman.
I
very
knew
often.
you were gonna bring this up. So,
Like,
so
it always becomes a relationship.
So one of the things that I know I can hear Katie screaming off in the distance somewhere. Because like that is I know that's something that Katie deems really, really important is the fact that like men and women can be friends in a non-sexual way, you know, in a platonic relationship.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think and I think that, you know, Sun being like, yeah, it wasn't about that is very much like, no, like I helped her because she was my friend, not because I wanted anything from her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that has disappointed a great many number of people. But you know, he said it. He's like, we haven't seen the last of him, so like we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't buy. I completely agree that is a thing that can happen. I just don't think that's what, at least how they set up the relationship we see between them. I never really got that vibe that they were on the just friends level. Like I always got there was a little bit of something going on. Maybe that was just me, you know, writing thing, you know, headcanoning things perhaps,
Mhm.
but I definitely got that vibe from the writing and the scenes in which we see those characters, and so I just like a little more payoff if they are gonna, you know, move on from that. You know, there needs to be more, more to that. As for Yang, it's interesting because we haven't actually seen Yang's like, you know, romantic sort of inclination. I think in the show. Like she definitely plays the tough biker gal kind of character, and I think what one, you know, she mentions in like season 1 or something about hunky boys, but just kind of like offhandedly, like it's not really, you know. And then she does end up going. Wasn't there like a dance in season 2 or something?
Yeah,
There was a big
yeah.
and she ends up not going with anyone, right?
Well, Weiss wanted to go with Neptune, and she did end up going with Neptune.
With Yang didn't go with anyone.
Oh, Yang. Yeah.
Did I say Weiss? Have I?
Mhm.
Okay.
No, I think that was probably me. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Yang.
Okay.
Because Yang hasn't really, you know, she hasn't really shown where she falls on that.
Weiss,
so.
Weiss is just so in love with herself that she was her own date. Wait, Yang, motherfucker! Why do I keep saying Weiss?
I mean, it's true. Weiss did also go, but yes,
Weiss also
Yang,
went stag, as the saying goes.
Yes,
I
but
honestly,
Yang is,
it honestly feels kind of like they're writing RWBY the way that most like D&D campaigns are, in the sense of like characters are characters and they love who they love.
Mhm.
Like it's kind of just assume everyone is bi until explicitly stated otherwise.
You're not wrong.
That they have the potential to love either gender
mhm.
That is literally Critical
Or no
Role right there.
or no gender.
Ugh.
But like, you know, like they have the capacity to love whoever they want and then just, you know, either confirm or deny whatever they want with it.
Mhm.
And that's honestly kind of the vibe that I've gotten is like you watch RWBY and you could point at any of the characters and be like, except for the ones that are explicitly stated, you know, like Ren and Nora are a couple now, like they're canon and whatnot. So it's like we know that at the very
Jean,
least they're
Pyrrha.
yeah, Jean, Pyrrha, the canon stuff. Like we know that Weiss, you know, much as I hate to admit it, like Weiss was attracted to Neptune. And
Mhm.
it's like, you know, it's not that she was attracted only to Neptune, but that she was only attracted to Neptune, because I ship Freezer Burn super hard. And it is that like you point at any of the characters and it's kind of like what sexuality are they? And it's like,
Neptune.
"Ah."
Weiss is too good for Neptune. Sun is the only boy for me.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
yeah,
that's kind
actually-
of my feeling on it, is that we don't necessarily know explicitly what sexuality anyone really is until you know
Until
it's told
specifically told. Yeah,
otherwise.
Yep.
Mhm.
that's true. Well, it's okay. There's one more scene with Yang I want to talk about though, because during the Vital Festival, right? She
Mhm.
fights. I forget the frickin' the rainbow roller skate girl. What's her name?
Neon Cat.
Oh, right. It's just Neon Cat because she's literally based off the.
Yeah.
Yep. Her, right? She's like. Am I wrong to say that she's basically like she's like low key flirting with Yang? Is that like?
I think
If
that's
flirting
just
is
her.
talking shit at her, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be a form some people go for.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like Yang was too into it.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. But
Um.
it'd be interesting to see those two characters interact. I doubt we'll ever see. Then again, I guess Team Funky is from
Team Funky is from Atlas, which is strange.
Yeah. They make a joke about that, right? Because Weiss is like, oh, they're all like gonna be military types and all very well doctrined and all of that, and then it's just like a
They're
jazz
musicians.
trumpet guy,
Whatever they are.
and whatever they.
Yeah, it's like and then you have musicians, the least organized, militarily structured people in this fashion. At least with this particular arrangement, it's jazz where it's all improv at some point.
Yeah.
Yep.
That does not
So,
sound like
hey,
coordination to me.
I'd love to see Flint Cole again. He was a fun character, but
He was
yeah,
fun.
I think seeing Neon again would be kind of fun, and to see if she can sort of, work towards getting White or getting Yang, and I'm doing the same thing, getting Yang to like realize, oh hey, maybe Blake and I are more than just like if they could work that in, I think that would be a good character moment.
Mhm.
But
So, I think we're about at our time. So I think final thoughts regarding Volume 7.
I think
I'm
that
hyped.
I think that during Volume 6 my words were cautiously optimistic. I think that I'm somewhere between cautiously optimistic and super hyped. Somewhere in between. It's like some middle ground, like I'm not overwhelmed, I'm not underwhelmed, I'm just whelmed right now.
Whelmed. Pleasantly
Okay.
whelmed.
Yeah.
All right, Bo.
I'm really, really excited. honestly. Like, Weiss and Winter are my two favorite characters, so the fact that we're going to Atlas, their hometown, their home turf, I'm kind of really excited to see Weiss shine, like in, it being kind of at the forefront of stuff and being the one that everyone's kind of deferring to of like, yo, what do we do here? Like, this is weird. Like, what do you recommend, Weiss? Like, I kind of like the idea of her being kind of put almost in that leadership role finally.
Yeah. Forrest?
Hype train, all aboard. Let's go.
Wow,
I'm
Forrest, the
excited.
conservative voice on the hype train.
Oh yeah, no. The conservative. We're done with cautious optimism. I'm aboard the hype train.
Yeah.
Season 6 made me believe that they can make lightning strike twice. I will say Volume 3 is still probably my favorite, but I think that's just because that for me is actually for the show itself is the turn, right? Where we go from here's this happy little show about some anime girls that fight monsters to oh shoot, okay, bad things happen too. All right, like that turn will forever be shocking. Right, and so I think that season, just for that reason, has the most punch. But
that's fair.
Volume 6 was far and away the best production value they've had in basically every capacity. And if they just keep that up, I'm all for it.
I agree. Yeah, no, I'm definitely hyped. I'm really looking forward to this volume. I'm also super looking forward to getting to do this podcast officially on the Kruby channel.
Yeah, baby.
Like I was saying at the top of the podcast, if any of you were not there for that, this is going to be the first time that we've been doing this podcast for years, but this is the first time that Ruby Talk, the show that started it all, specifically is going to be hosted here on the Kruby channel as official Kruby content. So we are going to be with that. I just want to get a couple housekeeping things out of the way, and then we will say our goodbyes. We will be coming back next week, Sunday, November 3rd. To talk about Ruby Volume 7, Chapter 1, because it's almost here, guys. It's almost here.
It's so close.
It's
Give
so
it time.
Close. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about that, and this is basically the main podcast crew. But one of the things that we really want to strive to do this season with Ruby Talk is we really want to try to have a special guest on the podcast every single week. Most of those guests are probably going to be from Kruby. They're going to be people You're going to be, like people like Tina and Katie and Star and James and all of the basically our voice actors. You're going to get to hear from them on their thoughts regarding the new volume. And we're going to have some really good conversations. We might even have some people from outside of Kruby hop on, which would be really cool. So be sure to stay tuned. We really hope that you guys stick with us. Tina, King Arthur 14 is the voice.
King Arthur is in the crew.
Oh, fuck, I didn't know that. What is he? What do you do, King Arthur? Explain yourself.
He's
Why
in
do
the
I not know
animation
of
and
you?
modeling team.
Okay, well that's why. See, you're not on my team, so obviously I don't care about you.
One thing that I do want to address we haven't gotten an official release time, but as far as I know, it's always Saturdays at 8 a.m. Pacific, so 11 a.m. Eastern, I believe is the time
for Ruby proper, not this show.
Yeah, for
not
Ruby.
this show. No.
Well, no, because a lot of people were asking in chat what time does it drop, and everyone was like November 2nd, and I was like, no, what time?
Yeah, time is different than date.
8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern is the episodes, I believe. That's what they've been for the last volume.
But you can catch us Sunday nights every week, 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Yep.
Yes.
We'll be talking about the Rawubbies Volume 7.
So
Yes.
We're just not going
also,
to comment
King
on that
Arthur 14,
particular
I love you.
pronunciation.
I'm sorry.
We're just
Gonna
going
let
to
that
move
one sail
on
by.
as all of our
Um,
viewers leave in disgust.
Yes. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning into our pre-show. This was a lot of fun. We cannot wait to get into talking about this volume once it starts up. We're really looking forward to it, and we hope that you guys will continue to tune in and join us for that as well. So without further ado, thank you so much. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.